old, and I think we lived there maybe 4+ years, something like that. And over the years that we were there, I was literally scared to sleep. Literally scared to sleep. I would see things literally, it was different sizes of, I would assume, would ghosts. Some of them, one of them was really tall. I mean, right up to the point where its head was right at the top of the door frame. And just walk by, look in, and then roll by. And of course, here I am, 5 or 6 years old. What does a 5 or 6-year-old kid do? Dad! What the heck? And of course,
my dad yelling back. That's not what you said.
No, I was screaming, Dad, Mom, help me. I didn't.
I bet you're using the F word like mad.
No, not in my family. My father and my mother were really strict about our language.
Nowadays, it's quite common with a family with young kids. I hate to say.
Yeah, but back then, I wouldn't risk a quick
belt
slap on the butt for something like that.
Yeah.
No. So it didn't happen every night or every week or anything of that nature. And over the course of the time, of course, Dad would always holler back and say, "Shawn, be quiet. There's nothing in here that's going to bother you. Nothing's going to touch you. Nothing's going to harm you or anything like that." So over the years, I don't know how many times I've seen it. It's varying sizes from maybe 2.5 feet, 3 feet tall. And there's actually one that sort of looked like a white mist that rolled by. And I've talked to my sister about this, and actually just recently, and she elaborated even more what she's seen, and we corroborated what we had seen in that trailer. So this ain't the end of the story, though. And after about 4 or 5 years, my dad and mom decided to move the trailer. And of course, trailers are called mobile homes, so we moved that trailer out of that spot and on the other end of town. But on the day that we were fully moved the trailer to the new spot where it was there for several years, my dad took, I think, my sister and I out to the grocery store, and he stopped and in the parking lot of the grocery store, and I thought he was just going to hop out and say, "Kids, I'll be right back," or something like that. Well, he stops, puts the thing in park, turns the ignition off, throws his arm over the seat, and looks at my sister and myself. And he said, "I wasn't going to tell you this until we left there." And we're looking at Dad, and we're like, okay. So he starts to tell us all the couple of ghost stories. And I'll be damned if he didn't tell me about one ghost story that it paired up with my memory to a T what happened that night. Told me about one night the day before there was a funeral in the cemetery, and he was regaling us about that cemetery procession and all this stuff. Late one night, he didn't report the time. It was just nighttime, if I remember correctly. So he's sitting there telling us and saying, well, one night he woke up, and the way our trailer was set up, the master bedroom was on one end of the trailer, and there was a long hallway to the living room, and in between the living room and the master bedroom was 2 children's rooms. And he said that one night after the funeral, he was specific to relate this to us. He said this tall black man that was sort of glowing, kind of greenish light, had a greenish light to him, was walking through the hallway, which he had a clear shot, a clear view all the way down the hallway to the living room. So that he was walking through and saw him peeking in each one of the rooms and pausing. each one of the kids' rooms, and pausing, and standing there, and walking and going to the next room, doing the same thing. Of course, Dad, he said, I thought I was sleeping and dreaming at the time, and then he started coming in toward the master bedroom where Dad was sitting there just watching him. So Dad said he jumped up out of the bed and realized he was awake, and he starts to say, what the fuck are you doing in here? Kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And as he's flipping the light on, this entity or whatever it was walks through the back end of the trailer. Now, I don't know what adds this to the story, but how this trailer court was set up was it was like on a hump, how the trailers were set. The front end of the trailer was almost right on the ground, and the back end of the trailer is like 4 or 5 feet up on cinder blocks kind of deal. So literally he walked out into thin air. And I remember this because I remember our dad yelling, what the fuck kind of deal. I remember that, and I remember seeing that damn ghost. So Dad left that night, and he was telling us that he left out of that trailer, and I remember it up to this point, okay, that he left a trailer. I remember him leaving the trailer. So he says that this thing turned into a big orb, and it went from, he caught it as it was entering the neighbor's trailer. And he said literally if he timed it out just right, it was like if someone took a leisurely walk through one end of the trailer to the end, and then the orb would pop out of that trailer and move to the neighbor's trailer and do the same thing. And he followed it, and he said he followed it all the way up the hill, which was that one row of trailers, that for the remainder of however long he was out there. And then it disappeared as soon as it hit the top of the entrance of the actual trailer court.
Now that is scary.
Yeah, that's scary. Yeah, but imagine me. I guess I was about 9 or 10. I looked at, of course, we all had manners as kids, and we didn't dare say any harsh words back toward our parents at that time.
Well, I hate to say it, kids nowadays do.
Yeah, unfortunately, but that was the culture I grew up in. But I was just sitting there. I'm like, you.
Of
course, outside my parents' watchful eye, of course, I cussed like a sailor. But within their presence, I didn't say anything. So, but I was like, I felt betrayed, angry, the whole gambit of feelings that I've been telling you for 4 years that some shit was going through that trailer, and all I got was be quiet. It's okay. Nothing's going to harm you.
Yeah. Uh-huh. I got to say this. My brother was 13 years older than me. And, looking at it now, going back, I'm 66 now. I look at all those times that he used to get me to go under the bed. He would tell me, my parents would be out, going out for the evening, and he'd have his girlfriend sneak over while they were out. So the first thing he would do is turn the lights out, or pretty much all out, and tell scary stories to get me to go into the bedroom and to crawl underneath the bed for protection. Now, as I got older, I realized what he was actually doing. But I tell you, he used to scare the socks right off of me with some of the scary stories. I mean, they were so scary, especially when you're like about 6 years old, and you have a brother telling you about this madman that just escaped out of prison, and he has a big long knife, and he's in the neighborhood looking for people to stab to death. And boy, I remember those days like yesterday.
Oh, geez. From the perspective of ghost storytelling, the lion's share actually went to my grandmother. When it comes to ghost stories, I don't know what kind of satisfaction or thrill she got out of scaring her grandkids, but by golly, she liked doing it. Jeez.
Well, maybe she used it to make kids behave too. You know.
Well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was a little too rambunctious those days that she actually told these stories and scared the snot out of us or whatnot. I can actually tell you one story that she told us.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think she told us. Yeah, she told us this maybe a couple of times. Way back, this was before I was even a thought in my dad's head. way back when they were just starting house and had kids and whatnot. And they
I got to make a correction here for the audience, okay? It might have not been a thought in your dad's head, but I bet you 25 cents it was in your mom's head. I'm sorry. I am sorry.
I didn't hit the mic, but
I'm sorry. You know how girls are. They're, when they're in grade school and all, and junior high school, they can't wait to have babies and get married and all that stuff. So I'm sorry. You just left yourself open for that one.
Well, I appreciate that. Anytime that you can exploit something like that I offer, go ahead and take it. I don't care.
Okay, I will. I'll remember that.
Yeah. So back to my grandmother's story from when we was little kids. Of course, you got to remember she's orchestrating this storytelling along with dimming the lights and turning the lights off, unbeknownst to us because she's got our attention. So this house, the house I live in currently was owned by my grandparents, and now I'm living here by myself now. But it's over 100 years old. But that being said, that this isn't the house. This house, actually, I don't even know if it's standing or not even anymore. But it was a 2-story house. And my dad was young, and aunt and uncle and all them were young, but they weren't a part of the story. But it kind of sets the time period. It was back in the 50s and 60s, early 60s, some portion of that. So Granny said she got pretty ticked off at old Papaw for whatever reason. I don't even know what in the heck kind of reason it was, but you just had to know my grandmother, how she would really get you into it, and she'd really sink you in and start telling you little bits and details that I was really sore at Papaw for doing this or doing that, and inject whatever reason the new couple would be mad at each other. Okay, so literally Granny kicked Papaw out of the bedroom. Literally. So one night after she did this, she was alone in bed sleeping. And Papaw apparently was in the living room in the doghouse kind of deal. So, but in the middle of the night, Granny said that old Papaw decided he wanted to come back in. And come back in the bedroom, either whether he was cold or whatever, she didn't really know what the heck was going on. But by that time, she'd already forgiven him. She didn't feel sore at him or anything like that. So she felt him get into bed and kind of cuddle up to her, and she fell back asleep. She said, I could even feel his breath on the back of my neck. Oh, man, that's one of those things that you hear that level of detail, it kind of really sucks you in. Of course, and here's Granny turning off lights, click, and add another piece to the story. So, now what happens is she wakes up early the next morning, and she jumps up. Papaw's out of bed. So she walks in to the kitchen. Obviously she smells coffee brewing, and Papaw's there, and she said, well, you're up early. And literally, this may offend people, but this is this is a true statement, and I'm going to just go ahead and use it. My Papaw said, woman, you knew you kicked me out of bed. That damn couch in there was hard as a brick. I had to get up. The only thing left to do is drink coffee. So she said, you didn't come to bed with me last night? And you said, no, you kicked me out.
I'm sorry. Okay.
So yeah, Of course, I'm sure she elongated it, but that's a short version of that scary story.
I hope it was.